The views and opinions expressed by the participants of this broadcast are their own and not necessarily shared by the sponsors, organizations, or individuals mentioned in this broadcast. It will contain topics and language unsuitable for younger listeners. Parental discretion is advised. You're listening to 3231 Nomad Radio. Nomad Radio. From hiatus, it is 3231. It is Nomad Radio. Hi.
Hello, everybody.
How are you? In case you've forgotten, I'm Matt. That's Ben.
Hey.
That's Ben. How you doing? You're watching 3231. This is Nomad Radio, and it is Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. Happy beginning of Pride Month to those of you that celebrate. And happy birthday to Elaine. I don't know if she's going by Fantasia anymore or McCullough anymore, but one of our old friends back in the day. It's her birthday.
What is she going by?
One is Matt, one is Ben. You figure it out. Yeah, there should be some notes somewhere. If your birthday is in the month of June, by all means, send us a message on any of our social media, and we'll be happy to give you a shout-out on your birthday. We want to give shout-outs all around to everybody at any point in time.
Speaking of birthday we missed Don Amici's birthday by one day.
Happy birthday to the late, great Don Amici.
Yeah, Tuck actually went all the way out to Hollywood to send us pictures back of his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah,
I was going to throw up a picture, and I totally forgot to do that.
It's all right.
But, I mean,
you
you've
can
seen
Google Don Amici.
You've seen
Hollywood star.
You've seen it. Hello, David. Hello, Jamie. Nice of you to join us in chat. We got the chat back up again. Goofing off a little bit.
Viewable by all.
Yeah. I kind of went before without it, and I missed it because you guys are as part of the conversation. You guys are part of the show as well. So I wanted to throw that back on there for you. So I think this is pretty much what you see is what you get, other than maybe the alerts that I plan to add on at some point in time. We haven't had a lot of need for the alerts and stuff. It just seems like a lot of extra. We got some real estate though, so anytime anybody wants to join, anytime anybody wants to make a donation, those type of things will come into play later on as well. Yeah, but the point is that we're up and running. We're on the air. We had a couple problems. We tried to do some
remote didn't work.
Some remote type of situation. We almost have it. We almost got it.
We're close.
What you see is what you get, except Matt's not wearing pants. I am not wearing pants.
No, neither of us are. No.
Well, because why? What I am wearing, though, what we both are wearing, our official 3231 merchandise, by the way. The new Nomad Radio t-shirt.
Matt's got newer stuff. I got older. I'm repping the old stuff.
But that's okay. It looks cool. The faded kind of it's show your shirt a little bit more. It's got a cool distressed faded because it's naturally faded, but it's holding up pretty good.
I wear it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets washed at least once a week.
Yeah, Ben's going retro, exactly. Well, we both had tie-dye shirts on. I didn't want to be the tie-dye show. I didn't want to be the old guys with goatees show. But although Ben is not as old as I am.
No, I'm a tad bit younger.
But it's not the age, it's the mileage.
Exactly.
And he's
some of us were rode hard and put away wet.
But yeah, thank you very much for everybody for showing up. It's been a little bit. It's been a while, about 2 weeks, and it's nice to be back in the studio. Yeah, we wanted to talk about the couple things that have been happening when last we met, and I think one of the things that we've learned for sure is that Matt needs to be in the studio. So we can do remote shows. We'll figure it out. But we'll definitely be working on that while I'm here and can access the computer directly, and we can actually do some stuff. Thank you very much for that, Jamie. Jamie left the link in there for the shirts. You can go to shop.323 as well, if you'd like to. Just like my name says right down here, just like the handle. This is on all the social medias, and you go to 323.1, and you can connect the socials. You can get on the shop. You can do all that stuff.
So David asked a very important question in chat.
Yes.
How is Mom?
Mom's doing well. The reason, for those of you unaware, the reason why I went up, why I was not here, why we didn't have a show, was because I was up in Maine. Had a little bit of family emergency. I was kind of concerned because my mom went into the hospital. She had pneumonia. Turns out she had heart failure as well. 83 years old, and needless to say, we were all super concerned. Check out all socials at 3231. Google's your friend. It is. Yeah. If you go to 3231, if you put that in Google, you'll find it everywhere.
Comes right up.
But yeah, my brothers and I were concerned. 83 years old. I mean, you never know when it's going to happen. But 83 years old, it's more likely to happen than at like 53 or 23. Right. So, and pneumonia could really, I mean, it did a number on my mom. So I decided to go up there and spend a couple weeks and visit with my mom, which I did. Like every other day, I was up with her in the hospital. She actually got out of the hospital like 5 days later, I think it was, and then she went into a rehab/therapy/facility, where the folks up there, St. Mary's, were really nice. Shout out to St. Mary's in Lewiston, Maine. They were really nice folks. They took good care of her, and I think, as a matter of fact, they're still doing so. And turns out she'll be able to go home. She's getting her strength back. She'll be able to go home next week. So she's going to be up there for another week. And she seemed in good spirits. To put me in good spirits. Jamie says, good on you, sir. Never miss a chance to say I love you or show support in your way. Yeah, and that's why I was saying on Mother's Day, do yourself a favor. In fact, you don't have to wait for Mother's Day or Father's Day or whatever. Any chance that you get, consider this your reminder to go and say that you love people. It could be your parents. It could be brothers and sisters. Never be afraid to say I love you. To show people that you care about them. So, and one of the things that was on my mind a lot was I don't celebrate holidays and birthdays very much. Those are good opportunities to celebrate special things, but there really should be no excuse to celebrate special things. You don't need a reason.
No.
It's a great thing about being a human being. You don't need a reason to celebrate.
You could just buy a birthday cake. No one checks.
Yeah. You know what it's called? It's called cake. Yeah. But yeah, you exactly. Buy a birthday cake. You know what? That's a great idea. That's something I probably would have done, is just go buy a random birthday cake and celebrate someone's birthday. Just, I'm
sure I missed it last year. Yeah.
In like 2 weeks, I might do that with Abby or Izzy. I might just like show up with a cake.
Well, actually, in like 2 weeks, it's my birthday.
Really?
Yeah, June 18th.
Well, we're not going to celebrate.
Nicole's going to do a big surprise birthday. So.
Oh, so don't tell you?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone's going to screw it up. Someone's going to be like, when is it? What restaurant is it at? Or what time is it? Someone's going to text me.
And that someone is Bonnie.
Yeah, right?
When is your surprise birthday party going to be?
We told her what the surprise gift that Tuck had for his wife, and I'm like, oh my God, is she gonna ruin the surprise for Tuck's wife's birthday? And she didn't, but
your camera seems
I'm really glitching today.
Yeah,
I know. How about can I unplug it, plug it back in? Will it mess up the feed?
Is it doing it continuously or
it's doing it a lot? But I mean, I don't care. I mean, as long as you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not like flipping upside down. I remember that's what it used to do. It used to go upside down. That was kind of distracting. But
nah.
No. Did you see?
We'll run with it.
Just down the street, they're going to do some wrestling. Did you see that?
Yes, June 4th.
June 4th, on Washington Pike
days.
in Knoxville, Tennessee. They're going to have. What do you think this production value is going to be? Is this going to be like?
Oh, I hope it's going to be terrible. I mean. It looks like
it's going to be outside.
Is it going to be? So it's going to be there.
I think it's
on their lawn, just next to it. So there's like a bail bond place on the road from East Knoxville to
North Knoxville.
Ben's house. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
on the way to the jail.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks fantastic.
We should definitely try to go.
It's going to be exactly what you think it's going to be. I mean, if
Yeah.
it can only be great or awesome. It can only be two things.
It's gonna be right up there with the Monster Truck Jam, I'm sure.
If it's
but
bad,
but
it's
it's not gonna cost us $60 or $100. I forget how much we were in the hole for that event. But you know what? Our hometown here, Knoxville, was in the news.
David's correct. It is pronounced wrestling.
Wrestling.
At that point.
Oak Ridge Laboratory is the home of the fastest supercomputer in the world now.
We have everything here. We have wrestling.
Fiber
We have
internet.
computers.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Oak Ridge, you said?
Yeah, Oak Ridge National Laboratory. It's where a lot of smart people live.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Have you looked the place up to see what they do there?
Yeah, background checks. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, you have to be able to like pass a background check to work there, and a lot of the jobs are you got to have a security clearance. So like
Alright.
if you're prior military or whatever. Yeah.
You know what? Can you want to give the camera a shot?
I could try.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me try doing it.
We're gonna do some. We always have a glitch, without fail. We have a glitch that happens. And give me a second, and I will. Ba-da-doo. Everybody knows those sounds, right? I will adjust that here as well. Properties. There we go. Look at that beautiful Punim right there. And then we'll change a couple of things here. We're getting used to this. If I'm in the studio, we've got so much. I wonder if this might be too dark. It might be too dark. Let's go with that.
Oh, the low light compensation stuff.
Yes. And I was gonna say I don't hear you on microphone because you didn't have it in
there's
front of
no
your
mic in
face.
front of me. Yeah. Did it already start glitching?
It looks like it's still doing it. That's so weird.
All right, so let's we'll have to change something. Hold on.
It's plugged into the computer itself, or it's plugged into the hub.
Well, it's plugged into the computer, but
Oh man, this happens. Apologies, everybody. But what happened?
I spilled my water.
Now he spilled his water.
I spilled my water. This is going to be a great show.
Do we still have you guys in chat? Are you guys still here? All right. Hold on just a second while we get this figured out here. So what we may do is just kind of go with it. If it's working, it's working.
I think it's these.
It's still glitching.
It's still glitching. Okay. Well,
So that's something we'll have to figure out another time.
it's the camera. It is the camera, but that's fine.
No, because that's a new camera.
Then I don't know what to tell you. How about we stop buying these Logitechs? They look good, but they don't operate.
Yeah, that's weird. Now I'm trying to think if yours is the older one or if the guest camera is the older one. Because maybe we can do that next time. So we'll
Make the guest camera glitchy, but I mean that's the least one that's used. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Oh well, we'll figure it out. Another
Yeah,
time.
it's fine. Who needs to see this mug?
We all do, and it's not like you.
Pixel
Yeah,
perfect. Or
yeah.
whatever.
You don't have to see it in real time. Like I
Yeah.
can't see him. I can't see his mouth pronunciate all the words.
Mhm.
So, anyways,
So back to what we've been doing over
Yeah.
the last couple of weeks. We
well,
haven't been able to.
there's a sample of the kind of stuff that we've been doing for the past 2 weeks.
that?
I've been on a laptop at my mom's every other day, or for a few days, I should say, trying to figure out the whole remote. The cool thing is Google has this feature where you can remote access another computer, and it's something that I was not aware of or had never used before. I mean, honestly, to some degree, I've been aware of it that you can.
Yeah,
do
like
that
it's a
'cause-
possible technology. Like, of course, it exists that you can remote into something. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool. The fact that I could, we got really close, and so technically, like I said, it was a success. We were able to make it work, but we weren't able to make it work for long, and we don't know why. So we're only capable of doing so much, but we know that the technology
we'll get it
is
working
available.
now. Now that we know Jamie is available to actually come on the broadcast with us, if we get it set up, we will have it set up shortly. So
Absolutely.
Jamie can join us.
And that was the thing, is that we are like, okay, we'll set it up and we'll figure it out, and we or rather the opposite, flip that. Excuse me. We will figure it out and then we'll set it up, and we'll have it all set. And then we're like, okay, it's all set. Then we go to do the show an hour before the show, and something goes wrong, and then we're like, okay, now. And also,
It was the worst show ever. It was a giant cluster F, and
Yeah.
it was like, we need. Did you delete it off YouTube?
I believe we did. Yeah.
Because it had like 15 views, and I'm like, oh my god, I hope nobody watches that show to
No, it
think
was
that
great.
that's what our show is.
Actually, was that the one where Abby showed up as well? Because I think
Yeah.
I did. I kept that on there. I kept that on. No, they need to see that.
Just Abby running through my house. Yeah.
It was cool.
Where's Nicole?
It was cool. It was just frustrating at the same time. But I mean, it's content. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
We're not perfect, and our content should reflect that. I think. I mean, we're doing a pretty good job with this show, and
And if
consider.
you don't think so, you can go fuck yourself.
No, if you don't think so, by all means, come on the show and tell
come
us
on,
how to do it.
exactly. Give us feedback. Yeah.
If you feel that you have an opinion, your opinion is welcome.
Yes.
We may not we may not share the same opinion,
Mhm.
but personally for me, I loved it. I love to hear what people have to say. Come in the chat and tell me it's wrong.
A legitimate thing that I'm hearing is the level of the audio needs to go up. That you have to turn it up quite a bit to listen to it and it be loud.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that, because like when I listen to our broadcast on my TV, I got to crank it up to hear us pretty good.
Okay,
So that's something that we need to try to do.
sure.
But like everybody that's listening to us right now, how high is the volume? Can you hear us? You know, like we got
I've
people
listened.
right now that are listening to us. How high is your volume?
Yeah, I've
'Cause
listened to the playback and it's been fine for me. But then again,
That's on one device.
yeah. So that's always an issue. That's something. Yes, Ben, full volume is okay. I am at full on all aspects.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah. So I mean, it's technology is just to hear clearly. I have headphones on, but I can hear you. It could be louder though. Okay, good to know. Well, that's one of those personal decisions that I made was, and we kind of agreed on, was better to be to err on the side of caution,
Mhm.
err on the side of safety.
Yeah.
The better to have people have to turn it up than people, and need to turn it down for whatever reason.
So loud it's crackling and
yeah, distorting and stuff like that. So.
yeah.
Yeah, so no problem at all. We can always crank things up a little bit more. I mean, we have volumes here, but
I wonder where on the chain it is though. Like I see you just turned it up, but like
a little bit.
yeah. But we'll see. We'll get that all figured out for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
That's part of the show. We've come to accept the fact
Yeah,
that we're going
right?
to have a glitch,
Yeah.
and there's going to be problems, and that's just part of the show.
At least
No-
you can hear us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more people that we get on here, the more people that we can get feedback from, and the better we can be. So that's a really important thing to have people share and come on live. Which I'm really surprised that Jody isn't on here as well. Or
Yeah, well,
others.
we took a break. Jody took a break from us too. But speaking of birthdays, the TJ, who was going to be a guest on our show, but we had to cancel.
who will be a
He
guest
will be.
on an
He's a
upcoming
future.
show.
Exactly. He's a future guest on our show. He had a birthday just this past month, and then he actually invited Nicole and I to come over to his farm. He's got a wonderful biodynamic farm called Vuck Farm. It's out in Riceville, Tennessee, and we're actually going to do an event there. Our East Tennessee Regenerative Network group, which is basically our statewide group
Mhm.
for people who are into regenerative and sustainable living. We're actually going to have a meetup there. So it's July 24th. It's going to be on a Sunday. We're thinking we're going to start a little bit earlier just because it's July
Mhm.
and it's hot. So It's a really cool place. We'll probably be doing a meetup and a plant and seed swap and a pot. We're definitely going to do a potluck lunch. We're not going to make poor TJ cook another meal for us.
And you said he was the one that you got the duck from.
No. So that was different. So we had to leave.
You have many people that are going to do shows.
Yeah, exactly. So we were at Vuck Farm for his birthday, and we were really enjoying ourselves. And then we had to get going because we had to go to another farm and pick up a cayuga duck.
What is a cayuga duck?
So it's like a darker duck, like
Okay.
like almost like Darkwing.
Okay.
Like the Darkwing Duck. So we named him DW.
Nice.
Yeah. So his name is DW. It's supposed to be a Drake, but my Bonnie thinks that it's not. She thinks that it's a female or whatever. But we'll see because the noise that it makes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's like
Quack.
how accurate that is.
Quack, quack.
Yeah. So, but it's a really nice duck. But it was like an hour away from where we were, and where we were was like an hour away from where we live. So we had this really long drive through the country, which was beautiful. Don't get me wrong; it was really nice. But it's getting dark, and all these crazy hairpin turns, and we finally get to the farm. Let's see. I'll make sure I tell everybody the right name. So it's Morningshire Intentional Community and Farm in Von Road,
Nice.
Tennessee. Yeah. But it's like the driveway is just like straight up the mountain. And we're in Nicole's minivan. And not saying the minivan doesn't have balls, but like on a gravel road up a mountain,
Yeah. You can only do in Tennessee, the Appalachian Mountains, the mountains. Tennessee, by the way, is freaking gorgeous. It was such a nice day when I came in from Maine. We went from I took a plane from Portland to Charlotte, and then from Charlotte to Knoxville, and I had the.
Did you get the window seat?
No, I didn't. But it was a smaller plane, so better access to the windows for everybody. And because when you're on the bigger planes, you like it seems like you can only see directly in front of you as opposed to. No, I had the presence of mind to look out the window as we were coming down, and it's like, oh, it's just seeing the mountains are freaking gorgeous. Yeah. Tennessee is so beautiful.
And Alcoa is further south than us, where we live, so like you get a much better view of the Smokies. Because like for where we live, you can't really see the Smokies. You can see all the mountains around us, but not the Smokies.
Yeah, but it was really nice. But yeah, I have to deal with that even here in Knoxville, even in a I wouldn't call it rural, suburban. I guess is the best way to put it. Is
where
the type of area.
Here?
Yeah, I mean, in this area here, yeah, it's a little more rural, but like East Tennessee by the mall and stuff like that, it's like suburban. It's not too bad, but still, you get some really steep roads that you got to go on, and I still get kind of nervous going down driveways sometimes.
Well, even here, like it's really. Because I do feel that like we're rural because I mean like we have a horse rescue like right next to us. We have there's a cattle farm. Right down
immediately here, yes.
Yeah, where we live, but we're 25 minutes to downtown Knoxville.
Yeah,
like how is that rural? But I mean like you could get kicked by a cow. You know what I mean? Going for a walk, you can. That is rural, right? I mean, like nobody lives in the city, and they're like,
I think that's how they calculate it.
Can you be killed by a cow?
Hold on 1 second. Let me check.
Likelihood of actually happening?
Yeah. Likelihood of kicked by cow, check. Okay, we're rural. That's it. David reminded me of an old thing. So the out front of the house one time on Periscope, there was a gentleman that came on. I could barely remember a lot of it, but there was a dude that said, "My name TJ," and that's how I. We kept referring to him because it was good content. It was a good day. I think I might have been in rare form because I was sitting in my chair at the bottom of the driveway, right on the street. Beautiful day outside, and I had the tripod all set up, and I was doing my Periscope thing, and saying hello to neighbors as they're coming by and stuff, and just riffing off of everything and everybody. So I was in a pretty good mood, and this guy came in. Something along the lines of he likes classy women.
Oh,
and his whole thing was
too.
my name TJ, so I just said my name TJ. He just seemed like a cool dude, and like everyone is laughing and having a good time when riffing off him. So, that's always going to be something that we remember the old Periscope days.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. No, TJ is a new friend of ours. TJ and Sarah both are new friends that we met through the Knoxville permaculture community, and they're Sarah's part of the Slow Foods organization. Are you familiar at all with
Nope.
Slow Foods?
Nope.
I'll probably do a horrible job describing it, but basically, it's for people who really care about food, where your food comes from, and just caring more about local stuff and the nutritional value of things. And certain restaurants can get like an award or something like a sticker. And if they have that slow food sticker, that place really gives a shit about their food. So you should frequent that.
So it's like a national thing, or
Yeah, it's an international.
international?
Yeah, and Sarah runs the local branch of that here, nonprofit.
Slow food movement, Slow Food Tennessee Valley.
Yes, that's it. Yep, that's who she's playing. And when she comes on the show, she'll talk much more about it. and
Good,
stuff.
clean, and fair food.
Exactly.
Community Enrichment Grant.
Thank you,
So
man.
that's a legit thing right there. That's
It's
cool.
totally legit. Yeah, it's a great organization, and her and TJ both have put on all sorts of events at Buck Farm, at her place here in Knoxville, and we really can't wait to work with them more and do stuff. So, because that'll actually be our first event working with them directly, so that's going to be kind of cool.
Oh, Jamie's having problems in chat too. See, glitches all around, everybody.
Glitches in chat. Uh-oh.
That's all right. Slow food is an idea, a way of living, and a way of eating. It's part of a global grassroots movement with thousands of members in over 150 countries, which links the pleasure of food with a commitment to community and the environment. The word good can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. For Slow Food, the idea of good means enjoying delicious food created with care from healthy plants and animals. The pleasures of good food and also help build can also help build a community and celebrate culture and regional diversity. I mean, yeah, food is like how what a food is life for sure.
My little grill. She's talking about my grill, my my gold teeth.
It's a gold.
It's a retainer actually. I should probably get it out.
No.
I mean, it's not like one that just like pops out. You have to go and like they have to.
No, you look crunk.
Yeah.
That's like the kids say. They don't
That's
say that
fine.
at all. When we talk about clean food, we're talking about nutritious food that is good as for the planet, is for our bodies, grown and harvested with methods,
Yeah.
positive impact on our local ecosystems, promotes biodiversity. That's cool.
In awareness too, that was the big thing too, because there's a lot of stuff like food deserts and stuff like that in impoverished areas that there's no access to fresh fruits and vegetables, and that's ridiculous. But like, hey, think about like I know driving around and where there's nothing but a Dollar General, and then you go in that Dollar General and there's no fresh food. You know what I mean? It's all frozen or it's shelf stable stuff.
Yep.
Like that's not healthy. Like you're not supposed to eat any of that stuff.
No, yeah, that's true. It's kind of funny that that hasn't happened a lot. Like it's just more convenient for people to get, like you said, shelf stable stuff, which sounds fantastic. I mean, but it's garbage pretty much. It's okay, everything in moderation, obviously, but you can't live off of canned soda and sugar and salt and fat. Like
No, not long term. I mean, you'll get diabetes or a heart attack or cancer.
Yeah, you depend on processed foods. You end up becoming dependent on processed foods and processed medicine and stuff like that as well.
And that's why we garden here. That's why we try to grow as much food as we can. We got some good things going so far. We got our beans are coming up. Our Malabar spinach is coming up. We actually have baby squash on the plants. I've actually taken pictures, so like we're babies. And then our fig tree is starting to form figs. I saw a peach on our peach tree. I don't know if it's nasty or not, but we have a lot of grapes every year, but we never get to eat any of them because the Japanese beetles come, and that's not a racist thing. I think they're from Japan. Like, I don't know if they have an accent or anything, but they attack our grapes, and it's terrible. But they leave everything else alone. So I don't know what's going to happen this year. We have these little bags that we wrap around the grapes, and we're hoping that those little bags will keep the Japanese beetles away from our wonderful table grapes.
Did you brag to Jamie and send baby pics?
I put them online.
Oh,
I put them on Facebook.
Put 'em up. Just bragging to everybody.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah, and
me.
then there was a crazy fungus that looked like a pink penis. That was interesting. That was fungi.
All right.
And then
It must be a fungi.
yeah, it's fungus. It's fungus somewhere. It's just a sign of healthy soil. And then there's baby birds on our patio. I don't know if you've heard them outside.
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah, they're above the ceiling fan, and and it's just some.
You're gonna hear
words.
tweet tweet.
Yeah, no, we don't turn the fan on.
Do you guys know about the Buc-ee's convenience store
Yes.
chain? Yes, I'm familiar.
Yeah,
They're building
it's
one.
gonna be one of the
Sevierville.
biggest ones. Yeah,
They're all gigantic.
yeah.
every
I didn't like Buc-ee's. I went to Buc-ee's in Florida, or on the way to Florida, and I didn't care for it. I thought it was really dangerous because the parking lot is so big and there's so many pumps that, like, even though you're in the parking lot, it feels like you're in a road, like a busy road, and nobody gives a shit if you're walking. And it's like,
Do they have lanes or anything? Like you
they
figure?
do, but like people ignore it and they just drive. They drive real fast and stuff, like through parking lots. So I mean, I'm not saying that that's every Buc-ee's, but like that was my experience.
You would figure it'd be common. I mean, it sounds like knowing what the roads are like, knowing what the area is like.
It was just continuous cars, just
I can imagine.
nonstop people pulling in, and like, yeah, you have 99 pumps or whatever, but I mean, the inside's really nice. They have like really good food that like they make like fresh or on demand, and then like
They have a lot
of
of. They have a
jerky.
lot. It's practically like a department store in there with all the
Yeah,
stuff they have.
but again, it's all shit though. You know what I mean? It's all the same garbage that we were just talking about that
Yep.
are giving people cancer. So should I be happy that there's a new fucking Buc-ee's? I mean, it's cool because it's a tourist place. It's like one more thing that someone can go and drop some money at and raise tax revenue for the area.
Yeah, commerce.
Yeah, commerce.
Yeah, we're all big fans of
Yeah.
commerce.
But like that's not anywhere near us. You know what I mean? Like that's not part of Knoxville. That's its own separate deal down the interstate. But we like going down there. It's Gatlinburg and Sevierville and Pigeon Forge, and it's like a white trash Disney World. With Dolly at the lead.
Yeah,
with Dollywood.
haven't been to Dollywood yet. Would love to give that a shot. Do you think because I'm not into rides or something like
No,
that?
I
I mean,
don't
there's
think
plenty of
it's
stuff.
pretty. It is pretty, and I know this because we went to Cedar Point last year, and Cedar Point's not pretty. And Dollywood, Cedar Point kicks its ass when it comes to roller coasters and the amount and how awesome they are. But like Dollywood is gorgeous, like from the flowers and the way everything's painted and decorated and trees. Like I don't know what the hell Cedar Point was thinking of removing all the trees and not putting shade in.
Yeah.
Like it's terrible.
That doesn't make sense to me. I'm really surprised at the lack of shaded area.
In the South, guys.
Yeah.
We're in the South. You need it covered.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not as bad as Florida, but Florida that I can recall.
But down
has some
there,
good
though,
spots.
they know what they're doing, though, with the amusement parks down. You know what I mean? Disney World, Universal, they know shade cloth.
Park
shades
design.
yeah, they know you have to have the misting stations, and they'll have the foggers, and you know what I mean? Like they know. But again, and if you want to go to an amusement park in Florida, you go during the wintertime when it's 60 degrees outside or 65 or whatever. You don't go in August. I pity the fool who goes to Central Florida in August.
And in Tennessee, not I mean it's certainly
Still
nice.
hot, but
It's
not
still
as
hot.
bad.
Yeah.
Because you're a little high, you're higher up, whatever. But still, I mean, you go to Dollywood during the summer, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be in the 90s,
But that's something that interests me as well. The idea of getting a designer, getting somebody that's involved in theme parks and involved in parks or something like that. Just
I have them on the show.
yeah, just because the design idea is an aspect of permaculture
Sure.
where what you have has to have purpose, has to have in some cases multi-purpose.
Yeah, you got to stack functions.
Yeah,
for sure.
stack functions exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. You have the terminology. I
the
don't,
one
but-
that- the
but I
one
mean,
that,
that's all. It's cool.
The one that I think of is that they like design failed was like the bathroom situation at Dollywood. Sometimes that's where the smoking section is as well.
Really?
So it's like, oh, okay, so I have to walk all the way over here to use the bathroom, and that's exactly where you put the cigarette smokers. So now I have to smell stinky ass cigarette smoke while I go use the John, and there's no air in there. You know what I mean? So it smells nasty. Well, whatever. I mean, where are you going to put the cigarette smokers? I know there's less and less of them every year.
And for somebody that's been through a few airports, the design of airports, like it reminds me a lot of malls.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for
Like
sure.
when you, like airports are very interesting. It was something that like when I came back, I didn't have the time. I didn't spend the time in the airport there. It was pretty much a get off the plane, and it took me 20 minutes to get to
get
the
to your
other
gate.
side of the airport to get to my other plane. But having like a couple hours at in DC to see the way the airports are, like it's really interesting.
It's an interesting space to be in because it's like a communal setting for people, and you have to fulfill the needs of those people while they're there.
It's an ecosystem for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to.
'Cause
They
they
have
could
a
be there
lot
for
of people.
minutes, or they could be there all day.
Yeah.
What do you? And then I know it's getting more and more common where they're putting like really decent hotels at the airports.
Mhm.
So that you could just fly in, get a hotel right there at the airport, never leave the airport.
Mhm.
They got fine dining. They have stores. Like you could like an airport's a place where you could go and like not leave.
Yeah,
You know?
certainly a ton of restaurants and some really nice ones as well, like some grills and stuff like that.
Just
Place
expensive.
where you can get you if you want to get a meal and get a drink and stuff. It's just like you said, yeah, expensive but luckily I could get a coffee. I got Dunkin' at the DC airport, and it was fairly easy to do.
Well, you live a life hack that a lot of people don't do, and I know people know this about you, but you don't eat multiple times a day. You eat just like once a day.
Yeah.
That's like a life hack, and you don't have to prepare the food. You just go and you eat it. And so it saves you time. And then if you look at just like how much money it costs a regular person to buy groceries and prepare that and cook it, you're coming out ahead.
Yeah,
you know?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. David says he's been trying to eat better foods. It's a challenge for sure. He's been able to cut out caffeine out of that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember Tampa Airport had a Marriott, I believe. Oh, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. And something that's been on my mind a little bit, like I said, with the airports and all, I was watching a couple of videos on YouTube. Been getting a lot of use out of YouTube this past couple of weeks as well. Like that's I found it's the majority of my entertainment. But there was one thing I was watching where these guys were walking around a mall, and the place had it was a gigantic mall, and it had I think 3 or 4 stores were open in the mall. The rest was abandoned. The mall is one of those type of scenarios that's completely.
It's a dead mall.
What's that?
A dead mall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's completely.
I like watching those shows on YouTube. Yeah.
Completely it's gone away. I don't know what the word extinct, I guess, is a good word for it. As far as the part of society, because back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, there it was a big deal.
Yeah.
But there was a boom,
but
and
it was
then
it was
crashed.
an evolution though, because you had downtown shopping and department stores, and you could go downtown and you could visit multiple department stores.
Mhm.
Just by walking from building to building.
Mhm.
And then you had the concept of, that's still open, so maybe we could cover it. And then, that's what they used to call arcades,
Yep.
where it was like covered buildings where you could go to the different levels of the different stores.
Mhm.
And then, you'd have more of a communal space in between so people could kind of hang out. And that was the evolution of malls.
Mhm.
But then they just started making those into malls, not having to adapt them from like the old school downtown department stores. So, but then as retail evolved, people evolved too. So, malls aren't anywhere near as important because shopping isn't anywhere near as important. I mean, you think about now, you could do 100% of your shopping online. And I even remember there was a documentary, I don't know how many years ago it was, it had to have been almost 20 years, where they're like, we're going to try to do everything online.
Mhm.
We're going to order pizza. Can you order pizza online? We're going to find out,
Yeah.
Spend 24 Bitcoin on that pizza is I think what they did. But but now, I mean, there's no question. I mean, with Uber Eats and Amazon and the every grocery store,
Even those, I think, are that's a limited time thing. That's a phase. I don't see
like food delivery. You mean?
Yeah, just because of not necessarily not necessarily the business itself, but the business the business.
And I say all these things. I'm not promoting the concept of them at all.
No.
I think most businesses or most
business
end
model.
users should be local stuff.
Yeah.
Should all be local businesses providing those needs of the
That's what I'm
local
saying.
place for locals.
Like you get convenience,
Mm-hmm.
but then after a while,
Well, you're destroying local economies.
the business practices.
by purchasing everything you need off of Amazon and only eating at big corporately owned restaurants. You're ruining your local economy.
Mhm.
When you buy local, doesn't that money stay in the local economy like 3 times as long? And it allows, when you're buying from a local businessman, you're sending their kid to college, not buying some corporate CEO
Mhm.
their second yacht. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. David
Mon-
asks, "You guys remember Montgomery Awards or service merchandise?" Of course.
for sure. Service merchandise was in where I lived in Ohio, and I liked that one. And Hills Department Store was another one that was like more regional. It's crazy how many regional stores there are, and you don't realize it till you talk to other people, and you're like, oh yeah, didn't you have a Rini Rigo's where you lived? And I'm like, what's a Rini Rigo? You know, like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? You're like, oh, that was the mob-owned grocery stores that were all over Cleveland. Yeah.
Like the Sears catalog was one of the staples. Okay, like Sears catalog and encyclopedias were a thing way back when. Like if you had if you had a Sears catalog, that was the internet that was delivered to your home.
Yeah.
That was Amazon.
Oh, they were a pioneer.
Yeah.
For sure. And then people would like read the Sears Roebuck catalog and use it as toilet paper. Did you ever hear that one?
No, but
Yeah.
I do know of the other use for the a certain section of the Sears catalog that was very popular.
Oh, that was used in the bathroom a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
wow, how the times have changed from there.
I used to love shopping at Circuit City. Best Buy isn't near as good as it used to be.
I liked Circuit City. I thought Circuit City was pretty cool.
I miss Radio Shack, honestly.
Yeah.
Like as a nerd, to go into one of those places and like see, like it was, do you need to fix your radio? Here are the parts to fix your
Yeah.
radio
Yeah.
or your Walkman or your television or
They're coming back slowly but surely.
really.
Maybe, and I actually have a Radio Shack mouse pad right in front of me.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, hold on, I'll shut to the camera. I don't know if the camera will focus. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
Yeah, Radio Shack.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, I was a huge fan of Radio Shack as well. And I owned a couple of the Tandy computers. I never really used them, but I had them. I collected them, and the Realistic brand was Radio Shack. So I know I owned a whole bunch of electronics. That was that, and some of it was decent. None of it was like real good or anything.
I want a Radio Shack T-shirt now.
Absolutely,
I'd love to rep
If
some.
anybody in our audience worked for Radio Shack, you could send us a message. And we'll talk about how it sucked to. Remember when they started trying to get your address for like warranties for batteries? Do you remember that? Like that was like the downfall of Radio Shack.
No.
Where like no matter what you bought, they wanted to get you into the computer. We're like, no, dude, you're not. And like back then, you know what I mean? Like nobody did that. There was no like hardly anybody had the warranty.
Now it's everywhere.
Now it's exactly. I mean, like Ollie's, we have a card for Ollie's.
Yeah.
Like you gotta be kidding me. You're tracking my purchases and giving me a discount.
Yeah.
You're finding out when I buy my fucking
Who's
fiddle
asking?
faddle.
Trying to get me into the system.
Yeah.
Ben, what's your plans for your birthday?
So we're leaving that up to Nicole. So we talked about there was going to be some kind of party or
There's
dinner.
going to be some sort of lawn care
Maybe
as well.
there's going to be something. No, I don't know. Maybe we're just going out for dinner. I don't know. I mean, that's typically what it is. We'll invite yourself and definitely Tuck. But we have a lot of new friends this year, so we're not sure. We didn't want to do anything big last year because COVID was still a thing, and now we're battling with the monkeypox. But I don't think that's affecting anybody's dinner plans yet. So
Happy birthday, mow the lawn. Oh
Yeah.
no, that's what Ben wants
I'm
to do.
keeping up on the lawn, man. I'm not letting it get out of control like I have previous, because it gets so hot at some point where it's just like, oh my god, I don't want to mow. The
And it's
lawn.
raining this week, so that's
Yeah,
gonna.
well, you can't mow. Yeah, no, you can't mow when it's wet. And I bag up my my clippings, and I utilize it all throughout the property. So like, a normal person mows their yard and it's just done, right? Because they can start and they can stop. Well, here's my crazy ass. I'm mowing the grass. I'm bagging it. So those bags fill up real fast, and then I have to go take the mower to wherever I'm putting that stuff. And I'm putting it on the garden, using it as a mulch, and letting it compost in place.
Could you put it in the coop?
Yeah, I do put it in the coop. Yeah, they supercharge it. So you put it in the chicken coop, and the chicken shit on it, and they use their feet, and they scratch. They scratch it, and then they poop on it. So and eventually, a week goes by or however long I take, and then I remove that out, and then I can compost that, and that's like supercharged.
Awesome.
It's good stuff. But then the ducks get some. The food forest gets some of that grass. All the different gardens we have a couple different gardens on the property. People ask me how big my garden is, and I'm like, which one? I'm like, I'm at that level now.
The earth.
The entire planet's my garden, buddy.
Yep. Look around.
Yeah.
All that you see
Yeah.
is my garden.
So.
And now the compost that you had in the driveway, is that all in those?
That was mushroom compost that we ordered.
Those are in those bags now.
That's what's in those
front of the-
bags, exactly. Yeah, I just shoveled them into all the empty bags that I had, and then as we need it, it's there.
And like how often do you use that?
So a couple times a season, I'll freshen things up, because like you'll just take like a little scoop, and just set it near the plant, and then like kind of cover it with the mulch, and that will eventually get into the soil, through earthworms or insects or, you know what I mean? Just the water, rain hitting it will dilute that, and all the nice mycelium and all that, very small life transfers, and there's nutrients in the compost.
That's awesome. Lion King reference. All the light touches is Ben's garden. That's right.
Nice. Yeah,
That is
for
that is
sure.
it.
Yeah, Jamie's actually been gardening a lot more lately, taking advantage of the fact that he lives in such a wonderful zone where, yes, he has freezes, but it's not super hard to protect some stuff from that freeze. So I know he's growing a lot of moringa, and I know he's jealous when he looks at how big my moringa is, but it doesn't produce like Jamie's does because.
Neener.
Yeah, exactly. Zone 9, baby.
What was it? We were covering. We were talking about malls and airports and stuff, and there was something else that I wanted to get back on that, but I can't recall what it was. Someone was asking earlier on TikTok, and thank you, by the way. Jamie said he was pointing the phone on TikTok live, but it crashed. Someone on TikTok was talking about comic books, specifically like the future of DC, and I was thinking like the same thing as malls, the same thing like a lot of stuff that certain things have their moments, and I was mentioning with comic books and stuff like the media, the print media, paper books, paper comic books, and like the same thing with role-playing games. Like it's going to electronic, a lot of the stuff is going digital.
Yep.
So a lot of the the Sears catalog and the magazines and stuff like that.
We're a short time away from. Have you seen the tablets that are e-ink?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
There's color e-ink it's not quite there. I want to say within the next 2 years, you're going to have a device the same size as a graphic novel that will be able to. I mean, it'll probably do video, but it doesn't need to do video. It just needs to have
pad, pretty much the pad.
A 9-inch tablet or even a 10-inch tablet that can just mimic a magazine. It look just like a magazine, it look like a graphic novel, and it'll look, because right now they have it, but it's not there yet. It's still, it's better than it was.
Well, I think one of the things that is that's holding that back is the bendable screen technology.
It doesn't need to bend though. I mean,
for a lot of people, I think it does. Okay. Like to have a large surface that's easy to roll up, to retract or something like that. To have a compact thing, but to be able to extend it and like the scroll, that type of thing.
Well, do you read any comics digitally now?
No, but that's
what's stopping you?
Just the convenience of YouTube and the convenience of other stuff like and also as I mentioned to a lot of folks before,
because I don't care about any of the storylines in any of those comics. I mean,
that's part of it.
But I have them. You know what I mean? Like I have access to them. I can sit at my computer and I could read them. But like, that's not very convenient. What I mean? That's not.
I think most of it is, for me, it's my interest in creating content versus consuming content has been the thing for me. But the point that I was getting at with the comic books is the fact that the media itself is dying out. It may be cyclical. There may be a part where it comes back, but if in the time, as we're moving along, we're starting to figure out a better way of bringing that content to people, a better medium, like I said, like something
television.
Digital paper kind of a thing.
Well, digital paper, or just the episodic release of an audiovisual medium where it's motion, it's TV. I mean, but is it TV? Because it's not really TV. It's kind of like a movie that doesn't, that lasts a whole season.
Yeah, episodic. Episodic serials, basically.
Yeah,
serials.
I mean, because so Kenobi has released. There's been a couple episodes of Kenobi. I mean, how is that any different than a movie? I mean, like the graphics, the special, the special effects are movie quality. I mean, Mandalorian is, amazing. That's Star Wars. Okay. So that's science fiction, but like the superhero genre, I mean, Marvel's finally starting to do really good with their TV shows.
Yeah.
Versus like DC has had like how many years to get their shows like, past the whole,
and that's a frustrating part too, because Greg Berlanti had a great formula that worked fantastic on television with Arrow and Flash and
Mhm.
Supergirl and that sort of thing, and I think they can easily take that formula and do more with it. But I don't know what's going on in DC's brains.
It just seemed like DC was putting out, just I don't want to call it bad content because it wasn't bad content, but it was just not at the level that Marvel's TV offerings have been. I was not a big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan. I was not a big fan of that at all. I mean, you keep telling me to go watch it again, and it gets better as it goes on, but it didn't take me right away. The shows that I've really liked on on Marvel were like the Netflix shows and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I really enjoyed those, but those are like lower level superheroes. Like that's a different thing than like the Avengers or, the X-Men. But like, I mean, I can't wait for more X-Men TV, because that hasn't been a thing with Fox, right? I mean, there's been no X-Men TV shows. It's always been movies.
Other than a couple effects ones like Legion. And
Legion was the one with the mental illness, right? The hallucinations and stuff.
And The Gifted, where it was X-Men, but it wasn't X-Men. Like they used some of the secondary and tertiary characters type of thing. Terrible People Are Always Against People of Color in Star Wars. John Boyega and the girl who played Rose. Yeah.
They were upset that there were people of color in Star Wars?
Just it was a thing, and it didn't need to be a thing. Like the Hollywood aspect of it, like Hollywood.
There were literally aliens walking around.
Yeah,
and like people are upset because somebody was, or it was just because he was a black stormtrooper. I mean, I remember people were upset with that, and I'm like, well, I mean, you're gonna find something to be upset
about. It's the industry. It's not necessarily Marvel per se.
Yeah,
it's just the industry. There are people that are in the industry that need to learn, that need to.
At some point they're gonna replace all the actors with. Just special effects.
People use woke as a bad term, but in all honesty, some people need to wake up. So I mean, some people like a lot of Hollywood, a lot of the industry is busted.
It's been busted.
Yeah,
it's always been busted.
It's systemic,
it's always been a horrible, horrible thing. And they make pictures. They make moving pictures.
Magic.
They make magic and fantasy. Exactly. Yeah,
but
I mean,
the
all the movies are fake. They're all made up. I don't, they make billions and billions of dollars, and it's just somebody telling you a story that you've already heard, But you could lose yourself because your life's not that great, and you got movies. At least you could pop on Goodfellas, and you could watch that for the 78th time, and it's like you're watching it for the first time.
And isn't that
you away?
Yeah, isn't that the human experience though? That we're all starting to learn what's wrong now, and we're like building new systems, building new. To be able to upgrade everything, so that's seems to be a recurring theme here with everything that we talk about. Is like shedding the old stuff and learning the new way, learning a better way. That's why permaculture has such it's such a challenge, is because a lot of that is getting it through people's heads. That where we're going. We need to be careful. It's not it's bad, but it could get a lot worse.
Somebody wrote this today. I wanted to save it because I wanted to talk about it on this show. And it is highly unlikely you will prevail against enemies who you depend on for survival and don't need or care about you one iota, save your subservience or destruction. It's like, wow. Well, yeah. That's pretty that's pretty crazy.
There's gonna come a point in time where naturally the nature of nature is the course of nature, I should say, is that the old go away in new generations. We evolution is inevitable, and that the mistakes that people make in the past, the old traditions and stuff like that in the past, end up falling away, and people.
Well, that's what was great about permaculture, though, is because, it took, many individuals, many years to figure out a system of design. And a lot of those systems came from indigenous people, people of color, people who are living sustainably right now with like sticks and
Yeah.
like, arrows and spears. And okay, so they've lived sustainably for thousands of years. Why do we need all this technology? Why do we need all these material goods? Why do we need shopping malls full of shit to sell you?
Yeah.
Why do we? That's the key. We don't need all that
Yeah.
stuff. We need food, we need water, and we need shelter,
Yeah.
and we need one another. We need community. A community. That's
Mhm.
what we need. Everything else is pretty much bullshit. We can grow, we can do it all ourselves, but that
And,
doesn't make them money.
it-
It doesn't make it
right.
profitable.
The people that, a select group of people benefiting from the current
Paradigm.
system, the
Yeah.
current paradigm, as opposed to a different way that could benefit a lot of people.
Mhm.
That doesn't necessarily entice the people
Yeah.
that are benefiting it, or
Top down design.
Yeah.
But Bill Mollison was like the godfather of permaculture. He was the first
Nicole's
one.
chiming in.
Hey,
It's
Nicole.
planned to separate the community. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a divide for us. But Bill Mollison came up with this prime directive, and it's not the prime directive from Star Trek. That'd be pretty cool if he came up with that. But the prime directive is the only ethical decision is to take responsibility for our own existence and that of our children. And like we don't do that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like we don't hold each other accountable for the shit we all do to each other.
Mhm.
And then because it's all of us. There's how many of us? 8 billion people, 7 billion people. And the way our systems are designed is that it's you versus those other 8 billion people. Like it's not a collective thing. Like those 8 billion people aren't helping you every day. You're competing in a job market. You're competing in a housing market. You're competing every time you leave your house. You're in traffic. It's a race.
Yeah.
Your job is literally delivering food to people who, for whatever reason, didn't make it themselves or couldn't make it for themselves or whatever.
The constant promotion of bad programming, whether that be competition,
Yeah.
or a competitive spirit, isn't a bad thing necessarily. It's the programming. We don't
Program. Did you ever see They Live?
Yeah,
About the program,
Yeah.
Roddy Piper.
that's exactly
My
what I'm talking
favorite
about,
wrestler of all time is Roddy Piper.
That's on the nose, and people
Yeah.
recognize that, and they see
They
that
obey,
as a
consume.
fantasy, as a
Yeah.
when you say that sort of thing, people are like, oh, it's colorful, and it's that's the message that they're
Mhm.
trying to submit, and it's palatable for
Yeah.
it to be like, oh, there's aliens and this subliminal stuff and stuff like that. But if you actually talk about the reality of the situation that's based off
Yeah.
of, that people tend to like
The aliens were just a ruling class. It
Yeah.
doesn't. Yeah.
But there's
Nicole says people are relying on their government to be their parents.
sure.
And that's, Uncle Sam.
Relying on technology to entertain them, relying on, myself included to a degree, but then again,
we're all super guilty, dude.
yeah, but then
We're all super
again,
guilty of that.
I'm also making the choice of, and we're making
Adding
the choice
content,
of adding,
to the digital madness and
Yeah.
chaos out there.
using what exists, using the things that people, to some level.
But we're
of
just trying to
success.
connect with people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's we're looking for our community, looking out for our people
Yeah.
that we care about. It's not a huge number of people.
To the viewer, we are in no way whatsoever, mocking technology or
No.
downing technology whatsoever. We love technology. We're
Appropriate use
nerds.
of. That's
But
the biggie.
Yeah, appropriate use of, exactly. You can use modern technology. You can use what they call primitive tools or
Mhm.
whatnot. You can use, it's the whole idea of permaculture is to use all your resources efficiently, and for the benefit of not just you but your
Mhm.
community. Like it's
Yeah.
just smart. To have less work for the individual person, the community working together
Mhm.
and for towards the same goal,
Yeah.
and means less work for everybody. If like Ben talks about work
Possibly.
hours,
Possibly.
Yeah. like the idea of one person doing 40 hours of work
Mhm.
or 40 people doing 1 hour of work
Mhm.
just makes that it makes
Yeah,
it that much better for that much
for
more people.
sure, for sure. Yeah, no. Nicole and I, we're going to be having a meeting within the next 2 weeks. We're just trying to pin down day and time what's going to work best for the most amount of people, and we're going to be doing like a leadership council and try to get some people involved with the organizations that we're doing. Because right now Nicole and I are doing not a ton of work, and don't get me out, maybe 5 hours, maybe 10 hours, some depending on how many events we have. So if we can just find, 3 more people that would like to join up and help us maintain what we already have going, help us develop further projects, because we have like our seed bank that we're doing. And it's like right now that takes, so much of my time and effort. But if I had just one other person that wanted to take that over, I could expand on what I do, knowing that, somebody else has my back, when it comes to that project. And like the gardening buddy program that we're working on too, the Knoxville Gardening Buddies. So it's the KGB. So I think that's the KGB will come to your house.
I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yeah.
I made a joke and called it the KGB, and it's like, that's pretty cool that you that you ran with that. That's awesome. The using technology for good. Nicole's saying we need to advertise a podcast in the neighborhood. Absolutely. I mean, it's a nice conversation to have, and it's cool to include that on every episode that we do, where we're all talking about things that are important to us, and we're all the show is something that Ben and I feel so strongly about. Though you were talking about you're not doing a lot of stuff as far as the.
I'm doing a lot of stuff.
No, I'm just saying you're.
I can barely contain myself. I'm doing so many things at one time.
But there's only so much that you can do.
Yeah, exactly. That pie only gets cut so many. I mean, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's just how efficiently are you using those 16 hours that you're awake? And I know that.
And that's all you're responsible for is your 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't put too much. You can only put so much on you with that. And I think
that's why we thought 5 hours a month was a reasonable, ask.
Yeah.
I mean, you have umpteen hours in a month.
Time management. Yeah.
Yeah. Time management. Yes. Then I definitely need to work on that. Yeah. Organizational stuff and leadership and time management. I'm going to take a class on online. I haven't picked it out. If anybody knows of any online classes that cover those types of things, because I need that in my own personal life. And then all the organizations that we're currently running, the different groups and communities, all need that help too, unless I can find some really great people that will work with us on developing those systems.
But just as important, it's to broadcast that to people, to bring that to other people's attention and educate them that the possibility exists that they can contribute as well is super important as well.
Because they probably don't even know I'm even here. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter that I've been doing stuff publicly for 14 months. There's going to be 99% of people who hear me talk about it. It's going to be the first time they hear about it. Yeah. I mean, unless it's Jamie knows, but and Nicole does. But yeah. I mean, it's this continuation that we've been doing for years and years and years, where we organically grow this, fandom. I mean, is that, depending on what we're into, whether it's the role-playing games, the comic books, the superheroes, all that's in like a category of nerdum, but like with the permaculture stuff, that takes it to a whole nother place, because once you start talking about ethically designed systems, it's like, whoa, wait, what's that? You know what I mean? Like, okay, because all this other stuff I get, but when you start talking about, ethic-based design science, like what is that? And I'm getting pretty good at doing my little spiel, but it's basically, the first thing is earth care. And it's like, when you design a system, you can't hurt the earth. So earth care, right?
Yeah.
Easy. Number 2 is people care. The same thing. When you design systems, you can't hurt people. It's not sustainable if you hurt people in your system. So third is a little bit different, and there's other ones that people say, but basically fair share. So if you participate in a system and you are, providing labor or whatever, you should get your fair share from that system. So that makes sense, right? I mean, like if you have a job and you work and you produce a lot for your company, you should
benefit. You should benefit.
Not somebody else.
Right.
Not nobody should be able to come to your permaculture farm and be like, give me my fair share. Like, you didn't do shit, dude.
No one should benefit more than or less than.
And that's why taxes
are
extortion. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. That you should
nobody should be able to just take your shit, dude. And we live in a system right now where somebody, I'm not going to say who it is, takes half your shit, and you don't have any say in it. I never signed up for anything like that. So a lot of these systems that we need to replace what we currently have with, you could say, well, we could do all barter. I've heard this. We could barter for everything, and I'm like, okay, well. They'll figure out how to tax barter. I'm pretty sure they already know, because it's the value of services.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think there's a problem with taxes.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. I think I think to the degree that it is,
But what's it going
it's
for?
broken.
What's it going for? That's the one thing too is like
Right.
like a local
What they're taking out and
Yeah.
where is it? How is it being used? Absolutely.
yeah
Like we could go
blowing up little children with drones
Yeah.
is not where my money should go to.
Right.
But you could also say, well, you were raised Catholic, and your tax dollars go towards abortions, so you can't be a good Catholic and pay taxes because you know. And it's like, well, okay, this is all the crazy shit I've heard over the years.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't want my taxes being wasted, but like driving around on our highways, like, where's the money to maintain the roads?
Yeah.
That's always what you hear. My roads, if you don't pay taxes, what's going to happen with the roads?
Well, that's because talking is something that people can do, and yelling is something that anybody can do anytime that they want to,
Yeah.
and that obscures the answer.
Mhm.
That keeps you from finding the right answers to the right questions and taking action based off of those answers and creating a better world because people can talk.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people seem like that's what the social media and the internet has become more often is people, which is the point of 3231, is to create a better, something a little bit different than that sort of thing. People just end up arguing, and it doesn't matter what the point is or what the solution to the problem is
Yeah.
when everybody can just sit and bitch about the problem.
Well, they've done such a good job of putting us on different teams too. Nicole
Yeah.
brought that up earlier about just conquering and dividing us. The majority of us are either Republicans or we're Democrats, and that's a horrible way to run a
It's
system.
horrible.
You have two major political parties, and then everybody else is fighting for scraps.
Yeah.
So
America is the melting pot of all these
Yeah.
of all these different cultures and all these different it was
but
the
two political parties.
it was the dream, but they always boil it down to it's us and them. It's team X and team
Yeah.
Y. It's team it's man versus woman.
How
It's-
about we just ban political parties altogether, and you let politicians, show their record. When you go to vote, you have how they voted on these different issues because they're supposed to represent you. If you don't know that politician, how do you know they're going to represent me truthfully and honest? And like Nicole's job, it requires her to be a good steward of the money being spent. So like Nicole can't just buy, $70,000 laptops for people. You know what I mean? Like that's not how that works. She needs to make sure
because that may
it-
not be the right answer for that particular person.
well, then there's also incentives sometimes. So let's say it's better for her to order from a company that's local because that money will be spent here in the local economy. So isn't that better? So like that's like an argument against globalization, and where a lot of the governments and controlling entities of the world want things to be like this huge global system with like a digital currency, and you keep hearing about, you're gonna in the future you're not gonna own anything and you're gonna like it, because you're gonna be able to just press a button on a phone and a drone brings you that item that you need, and you use that item and you could ship it back to them if it's something that can be reused, or if it's a single use. Man, my video is glitching so bad.
Yeah.
It's the alphabet. It's the alphabet police, and they're sitting there and they're just pushing that
Yeah.
button to make sure.
No, they can still hear you. Just can't see you. They can still
Yeah.
hear you. Your voice is still there. No, and I'm checking out the computer and stuff like that, and it seems like we're at steady 30-40% CPU.
That seems to be what it's been at.
30 frames. So
Yeah.
it looks all right. Haven't gone into the yellow there, but so I don't know what the issue is on that.
Yeah.
No,
It's the camera. It's just I'm too hot for it to capture.
and generally the two rules for the most part have been no religion, no politics on our show. And all the broadcasts that I do, I try to institute that where it's like we can
Yeah,
talk
so we don't
about it in
really talk
general
about it.
sense,
Yeah.
but and that's the exact reason why is because it becomes so factioned,
Yeah.
and the factions of
But we
politics,
can agree, though. I mean,
religious
it's
factions-
their fault. It's all of them. It's all the politicians. It's all the political parties
Yeah.
that have been in power for the last however many years. You know what I mean? It wasn't the Libertarian Party or the Green Party. You know what I mean? It wasn't all their presidents and all their men. And if you look at how things are done in other countries, like first world nations, nations just as advanced as the United States, if not more, you see how they run their governments and their representational government. And, you can actually belong to a political party that you heavily, agree with or, share the same ideals. And like where permaculture comes into this is it gives you examples of systems that could be designed and implemented on a local level at your house, and it can expand to your neighborhood and expand to your whole community and then to your whole city, to your whole region of
Scale.
your state, and it can scale right up.
Yeah.
And it's like the reason those systems aren't in place is because we already have an established system that spends billions of dollars a year to be the one who's profiting off of a majority of everything we're doing.
Yeah.
You know,
And influencing like the data that you're exposed to, you know, to be able, you know,
what do you mean the colleges didn't tell you that the system is absolutely corrupt?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The schools that you're in and the media that you watch and the, you know, it's like all it's the businesses that support the media, the businesses that support the
whole
politicians.
system supports itself, man.
Yeah.
It's a self-supporting system. So, you know, it's convenient, you know, like when I want food, we go to the grocery store.
Lobbyists, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, corporate interest in a lot of that stuff. So like I'm not one of these crazy people who talks about like abolishing privately owned businesses, because I don't think that sounds terrible. You know, I don't want the government to own all the businesses. Like that's
no, but that's how it's portrayed, because that's what
we
that's
need
where
more
the frustration
businesses,
is.
not less.
Yeah, yeah, and the more important thing is more people to be on the same page on how to run those businesses.
Yeah.
And the same regulations for all those businesses, the same guidelines for all those businesses.
Well, the amount of unneeded regulation that exists through bureaucracy, and bureaucracy is never going to cure itself through more bureaucracy.
Outdated.
Yeah. Well, they say that we need a Control-Alt-Delete, and the worry that I have is that will happen. There will be a reset. And as bad as we think it is now, ain't nothing like it can be in the future. You know, you think about all these technologies that were like, oh, these are really cool. You know, these webcams are great, you know, for us to produce content. But like, imagine like, you know, if they're in your wall and they're just watching you all the time, you know, and what's it being reported back to, and the recording devices. I mean, 1984, dude. I mean, like, it's not, you know.
Okay, but the thing about that is that
we're doing it intent, like on purpose.
Yeah.
Like we have it in front of us.
But that's the thing, is that if you're living a life that you can be proud of, if you're living the proper way, you may not do everything right.
Yeah, that still doesn't give the government permission to monitor you.
No. That's I'm not necessarily saying that, but what I am saying is that if you're trying, then like the one thing that I always look at is, I'm not so concerned. Like that crosses my mind every now and then. Like my phone has a camera on it, and I don't cover the camera. Can someone watch me and what I'm doing on that? Or like we have, like you said, we have webcams that we use, and could the webcam stay on, or your smart TVs have cameras? Could those stay on and monitor what you're doing and everything?
It's harvesting data from us. Is what it's doing.
But if you're trying to live a decent life, you're making mistakes, you're doing your things. If you're trying to have if I'll using myself as an example, if someone wants to watch me and what I'm doing in my daily life, they're welcome to it. They're going to be
put
bored.
it out
they're
on
gonna
TikTok. You put effort into actually having people see parts of your life.
They're going to be bored out of their skull otherwise, unless I'm prepared and I want to broadcast. And
I watch you sometimes sitting in your van. You're not that entertaining when nobody's watching.
No,
you.
No.
Just sitting there staring at his phone.
Not doing nothing. He's just looking at the same.
Looking at his phone.
Yeah. He's looking at VTubers and looking at Star Citizen things that he's watched over and over again. It's between me and God, not the government.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can say that, but like you know, right now no one thinks what you're doing is nefarious. But when they change the criteria and they're like, oh my God, did you hear about what those guys were talking about? Like they were starting about talking, you know, secret organizations,
anti-government.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do an Alex Jones impression, but I don't want to. It can be manipulated. They can determine that certain things you are doing, even if you think it is not bad, but someone else may.
Yeah, they can take the things that we say and the things that we do and spin it around, saying, you know,
even this show, even the things I've said on this show, you could totally cut and be like, oh, look at this.
Yeah. But it's sad that that's the energy that they want to put. You know, that's the reason why some people are alive. The reason they get up in the morning is the energy that they have in their body is going towards that. That's insane. I do realize one of the situations is the fact that I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but we do have other things going on in the.
Oh yeah, we can exit that.
We can get rid of a couple of these jobbies as well. Nothing I can really do about that.
No, for sure.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah, don't close any of
It's
that. Don't close OBS. There we go.
Look at the CPU jump to 40, 50%. So yeah, the conversations that we have are good conversations, and it's something that's really important for us to get these conversations to bring these that we have, the ideas that we have and stuff out to
let them air. Let them air. Let put our intentions out there, put our messages out there, and see what happens.
Absolutely, but it is a shame that there are some people who have their own goals that
maintaining status quo is a goal.
Yeah,
they
counterintuitive.
Yeah, well, and if anything, it's not necessarily about keeping the things the way they are. It's progressing us into scenarios where we can be even taken more advantage of. You know, like, you know, they've already have us convinced that we have to pay rent to live here. Show me another species of animal on this planet that pays rent. You know, like, we've convinced each other that you owe someone,
and it's not without a nugget of truth. Like, it's not like it doesn't,
because they told you had to. You
have
to pay.
No, I'm saying like I was saying,
pay taxes.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like taxes, it's not like it doesn't have some part of it doesn't have merit. The idea of if everybody works and but it's just so distorted that becomes the norm, and that becomes the way it is, and then people, you know, it's like a kid will push the boundaries. You know, you tell somebody to sit still, and then they don't sit still, and they walk around a little bit, and you're kind of like, I'll let it go. And then they're suddenly they're in the next room, and you're like, well, I'll let it go. Suddenly they're outside and they're doing stuff, and it's like,
we really need to have Nicole come down here and get on a mic, because that'd be really nice.
That'd be cool.
I can't wait to have Nicole on the air. She's just throwing stuff in the chat here. Everything has value.
Absolutely,
and it does.
Yeah, but the exploitation of those things, rather than, you know, it's always comes down to use versus abuse, and it's like there are certain concepts, there are certain ideas that people in government have had, and the whole foundation of the United States, you know, the whole foundation of our country, the idea of, there are certain ideas, I'll just put it that way, I won't get into specifics, but there are certain ideas that seem like, and when we grew up, it was like the American way sort of thing, but that idea, those ideas become so distorted and so manipulated,
especially when you find out more and more about what the United States has done in, you know, foreign countries, and like all the things that our government did, or we did. I mean, you know, like, there's no dividing that. Our government in the United States is the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So we did these things, even though we were not alive. We did not win World War II. I was not there.
Well, you look back in history and you say the Roman Empire and all the and all this stuff, all the like
winners of the war get to write the history books.
Yeah, exactly. The Roman Empire, and you look back and you think, look at everything they accomplished, but look at everything that they did to accomplish that thing. Then you look at like the British Empire and like all the colonization that they did and everything, and so Americans at one point or another have looked back and said, well, at least we're not like them.
Yeah.
Cut to 2022 when we're looking back on our own history,
screaming at each other,
and all the things that me as a 50-year-old man didn't know growing up. All the reality, all the truths, the things that have happened in history that I was never taught in school. Like being a grown-ass person and hear about Tulsa, and to hear about the horrible things that we've done to people in other countries, and that our military has done, and that our
horrible
political
things
leaders
to
have
American citizens. Like, do you think they give a shit about foreigners?
Yeah,
you know, like all the people that they gave syphilis to just to see what would happen to them.
Yeah.
You know, and like told them that they were treating them, but actually were like making it worse. And was that the Tuskegee Airmen, or you know, there's no, I think actually that was a good thing, but no, absolutely, yeah. And then if you buy into any like the conspiracy stuff, it really
they don't tell on purpose, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's secrets, right? I mean, like top secret. You know, if this information leaks out, you know, the enemies of the state might, you know, use that to their advantage.
just like the recent pandemic. I just can't stand to hear about the shootings anymore. Social media is full of news. Yeah, social media can be used to deliver information, and it can be an amazing thing. That's the reason why I'm on the air.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I use my phone on a regular
if you don't
basis.
interact with that stuff, it will go away. The algorithm will fix itself.
But the fact that people, to be informed is one thing. To be bombarded
Drilled
with
into your head
with the wrong information can really affect you, and that's the whole purpose of us doing this show and me doing the broadcast is the idea of putting something more positive out there, having a more positive conversation. But yeah,
I don't know why Johnny Depp keeps coming up on your feed, Nicole. I guess they figure women that are 43 want to hear about Johnny Depp.
Because it's a redemption story, it's entertaining, it's it's
it
popular.
It would come up in my feed, but not like, not consistently.
Hmm.
But I mean, I've tricked mine though, because I like so many things, it can't keep track of everything that I like now. So it's so many things, it won't let me like anymore. That's crazy, right? Like, fix your algorithm, Zuckerberg. Show me better shit, dude. You're selling my data. They're making billions and billions and billions of dollars off of harvesting data from us. Like, our data is worth so much that they're $1 billion industry. And that's not just them. If you think about all the harvesting of money they do of ours, Netflix, that was a service that we recently canceled because we were paying them. God, I don't know how much we were paying them. Nicole probably chime in, but like every month for years we're paying. And it's like, okay, well, there's some good shows. There's some good content on there, but like, before you paid for cable, you paid $60 or $100, whatever, and you got all the networks. And then everybody was like, man, a la carte programming sure sounds like a better deal. Oh, it'll never happen like that. And
but 3 services at $30 a pop is going to be, it's going to be just as much.
So the answer is you steal all of it. You don't pay any of it. But it's got to be more convenient to steal it than it is just to pay for it. And it's still more convenient just to pay for it.
Like $20, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whether we have YouTube Premium, and that's probably one of the services that we use the most.
And also, you got to realize
ads makes it so much better.
Yeah, you also got to realize that even though they're stealing data, they're not necessarily using it. That's the one thing on top of that as well. Is if they were simply stealing data and
they're stealing it and then they're selling it and then they're learning all about you. They're making
but they're not using it in a way that benefits you. If they're like these are the 10 things that Matt's interested in, they don't build the programming off of what I'm interested in.
Did you ever use Google News or Google's RSS feeder? It was a news reader. It was amazing.
I mean, I kind of use it on my phone.
Okay, but that's not what it used to be, though. It used to be better, where you can add all the RSS feeds into it, and you could sit there long enough feeding it everything that you enjoy, everything that you find interesting, and then it would just generate from all those sources basically a continuous feed, like a front page of Facebook. And I always question why Google Plus wasn't like this, because Google Plus was like all weird. Like, did you ever use it?
No, really.
It seemed like they grouped you as individuals into like different little groups. Now I can see it like where it would.
They used to do that with like Yahoo and America Online and stuff like that as well, where they would cater towards. I mean, Yahoo, I think, was the one that if I remember correctly, they did that more than anybody else. Was the idea of customizing your stuff, your experience for you. Yeah.
David wants to know about YouTube Premium. I think it's like $18 a month, and you get like 5 accounts, and then nobody has to watch any commercials. Good night, Nicole.
Night, Nicole. That was something that never really took advantage of the YouTube Premium or anything like that. I still
still watch the commercials?
Yeah, that's not a big deal.
Oh my god, I can't stand it.
It's like 5 seconds, and then I click skip.
Oh no, man. I mean, occasionally Izzy will not be logged into an account, and she'll be like a regular experience, and it's like she'll click on something and have to watch 2 commercials, like 30-second commercials, and then she gets to watch the video that she wanted, and she doesn't even get to finish the video. More commercials pop up, and it's like, wait a minute, there's like 6 commercial breaks for this one little video, and it's like, well, I'll gladly pay you $18 so you don't waste that much of my time.
No, I really don't. I haven't come across that with myself personally. I don't know.
You like commercials?
Oh, I just
Do you wish
with,
there was
with,
more commercials at the movie theater?
No,
You wish there was less, right?
absolutely.
Okay, why? Because you want to get to the fucking movie, right?
Yeah,
Or at least get to the previews.
I don't know if you and I talked about that, but I was talking to somebody about them doing like commercials. Oh yeah, we talked about that coming out of the
Commercials after the previews.
during the movie.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about
that. When are they going to start commercials
Yeah.
during the movie? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an intermission. It's like back in the old days when halfway through
Let's
the movie.
go to the lobby.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I
Well,
think
soon they're just going to beam the fucking movie into your head. You know, you don't even need to be at the movie theater.
commercial addiction. No,
Yeah.
believe me, I do not. No, I definitely do not. But no, the
Maybe
ads
Matt
don't
just
seem
zones out and he just doesn't give a shit until that. Because I mean, Nicole does that.
go like
She-
5 seconds, skip ad, move on. It's not that big a deal to me. It's like
Yeah, but that's not all the time, and you're not able to skip all the commercials. I mean, because it got to the point where it was bad enough that I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with it. I mean, $18 that's 1 hour of labor. You know what I mean? Like for the whole month, I don't have to see another commercial on YouTube.
it's weird. I'm just not. I don't think I'm experiencing that
Yeah.
30-second.
Maybe they were just
commercials.
playing more commercials for me. Maybe that's what. Maybe that's what the data showed them. That
Ben's
I
a sucker. We got him. Matt doesn't give a shit, so that's
Yeah.
not gonna help him out. But Ben's a sucker.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe my phone's been hanging up, charging right in front of us. So maybe my phone's picking that up, and now I'm gonna start getting.
You want to know a
commercials.
crazy Facebook conspiracy theory thing? So we had a friend from Florida. I'm not going to name who she is, but she went on a date with somebody. Okay.
Mhm.
When we got home from our drive from getting the duck in Van Or,
Mhm.
Facebook asked me to be his friend, the boyfriend, the guy she went on the date with. I'm sorry, the guy she went on a date with.
Well, I know they do that.
How
sometimes.
how is that possible? How did Facebook know to send me that boy? You know what I mean? Like, that's
'Cause
crazy.
It's a connection of some sort.
Well,
Like
she's because we're both friends with the same person, but Facebook tells me to be friends with them after a conversation.
oh yeah, all of them do it. Instagram does that. You may know this person. This person has Instagram.
But
So
it wasn't through my phone though. Nicole was on the phone. It was through Nicole's phone. It didn't happen on my phone. So I have no idea how that my phone knew that someone else was talking to somebody. Like that's crazy. Like you know what I mean? Like when it starts doing that kind of stuff, and they're keeping track of conversations that we had through our Facebook Live, like our messengers, and their Gmail. Google already says they go through all your email and they scrape all that data from your email. And they sell that data back to the different companies. Like, oh, he didn't open that email. You know what I mean? You need to do different analytics or whatever. You need to pay for whatever for us to to harvest more of that marketing data for them.
And we're all sort of suckers in the fact that we all hit the terms and conditions because we want the
Nobody
benefits.
reads it. Nobody reads
we
it.
we all want the benefits of the
Yeah.
thing, and they're going to do whatever they want with the information that they use from that thing. It's like, well, you agreed to it. You said agreed. They can always catch us on that. I don't know. That doesn't seem like that big a deal to me. It's more the fact of when people actively talk and complain and yell rather than coming up with a solution. People
Okay.
just want to complain about the
Complaining
problem.
without coming up with a solution. Just
like,
whining.
yeah, because it's like I wouldn't mind so much if people complain on
Mm-hmm.
social media or people complain on the internet. That's something you can do. I've done it myself where if I'm having a bad day, I want to voice my opinion. I want
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to speak my
You want
mind.
to vent.
Event, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily see a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact of then what?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody gets to that part. Like we're talking about political parties that have their agendas.
I think my camera froze completely.
It just froze completely.
That's fine.
We talk about
Ways things could be.
yeah. We're a little
Can
more.
we just get off the planet? Can we just do that? Can we just start building space stations and start that part of our lives?
Well, we're in a place right now where people are starting to have conversations that we haven't had 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's a great start.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like we need to do the next step. Like permaculture is something that's
Yeah.
existed forever.
Leaving Earth. I think that needs to be. I think that really.
So that's going to be our new focus on 3231.
is leaving Earth.
Let's stop talking about the nerd stuff and start talking about how the hell do we get out of this?
Yeah, how do we get off this ball?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right? I mean, you just like throw up your thumb and your towel, and
There's got to be something to that.
what is the beacon? Maybe their podcast is the beacon. There we go. And we're back. No, there we go.
There we go.
And you don't have to fix it up. You don't have to make it. We're fine.
No, still looks good.
That was okay. Well, at least you were able to do that while we were rocking. Well, hell, we can disconnect the camera, reconnect it.
Yeah. I deactivated and activated the cameraman.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like science fiction so much, because at least it gives you possible alternatives to the way, there was one, I forget the name of it, but anyways, it was a short story. It wasn't a very long novel, but basically it just theorized that in the future, a sustainable way for human beings to live on this planet is you live in a giant tower, and that tower has I don't know how many people. It was thousands of people live in that building. And it's mixed use. It has residential, it has commercial, it has industry, it has everything you need to support that population, except for farms and stuff like that. The farms are still in the countryside, and I think they were called herb moms or something like that's what they called the buildings. But there was a bunch of other crazy shit where people at night would walk around and have sex with each other and stuff like that. But I don't know what that was all about. But just the whole concept that you could live your entire community in one building. That fascinates me. Because SimCity had that. They were it was archipelagos or arca, something like that. I don't know. It was a whole city in a building. And that's always interests me because what the fuck are space colonies?
The great thing about science fiction, and it's always been the case, is the fact that, and this is something that I'm studying a lot more. I'm going to need to, I want to deep hardcore get into science fiction and the history of sci-fi. Because it's a lot of the things that I'm coming across, like how society was when this stuff started, the evolution of sci-fi and comics and all that stuff. It's the idea of exercising the possible. It's a form of entertainment for sure. Like David said, never-ending entertainment. Absolutely, it's a form of entertainment, but it's also thought-provoking. It also, that's one of the great things about sci-fi is rather than it deals with the unknown. It deals with the possible. It deals with the practicing theories. Going through the exercise and to a conclusion. It's I could do a whole series on that. I'm watching this. One of the things I'm doing on YouTube is I'm watching something called Extra Sci-Fi. It's a video. I don't even know if they're still doing it, but it's called Extra Credits, I think was the name of the channel. And they do a series called Extra Sci-Fi where the guy discusses the history of sci-fi and the different
series,
books, the different authors since the pulp era,
yeah,
the turn of the century. And you're dealing with stuff like romanticism versus the Enlightenment, people talking about an age of reason when people had these forums and would sit in their parlors and would talk about,
suck on nitrous
philosophy.
oxide.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's talk about philosophy and talking about the news of the day and all these, that goes back, people gathering in forums and discussing the topics like that and the big picture stuff that's been going on forever.
Yeah. But now we can do it. We can do it virtually.
Yeah.
We can do it. We're doing it with a virtual room right now.
And
with little text people making their comments that it's
Yeah, we could have a virtual forum exactly where people can discuss these ideas and these concepts, and but romanticism was something that came as a response to that, because Enlightenment was about we need to focus on reason and logic and the pursuit of knowledge and academia and how important that is, and there was also an emphasis on that and less on emotional. And I kind of understand that to a degree because of the passionate stuff like the war and the art and stuff like that is all nice, but we have to really focus on what's important, which is data and the ability to go through the scientific. It was the birth of science, basically. The idea of we need to create an idea, create a statement, a hypothesis, and then go through the scientific method to determine whether or not that is true or not. And then once those are facts, we know the facts and we can live our life based on the facts.
Yeah, but I mean, are we really in a position where we're trusting modern day science now? It's the same industry, it's the same corporatocracy that runs everything now, that profits off of everything they sell.
That's the thing, the foundation of what is science, the foundation of
was
what
challenged, and it showed us that, the almighty buck is way more powerful than truth or honesty or
Yeah, well, the truth
know.
is the truth, and that's the thing to pursue. But so many people see the truth, and they're like, "How can I manipulate that to benefit me?"
Sure.
And that becomes the problem.
Yeah.
It's not the it's not the thing.
Every system is about making somebody profitable and making somebody more money.
Yeah,
you
but
know.
it's not about the systems. It's about the corruption in the systems, and everyone
But the
sees the
systems
corruption and they
designed
think,
themselves. The system designed itself. So I mean, it's not a corrupt system.
"Well, corrupt people build the
system.
system."
Well, there you go.
That's the thing. It's not the system itself. Like the idea
Yeah.
of law enforcement, the idea of government, the
Exactly.
idea of religion is not broken. It's not broken itself. The people that are like, if you want to talk about those things, you're talking about people, corrupt people who manipulate the thing to make it broken.
Yeah.
You know, a car is built a certain way. You have certain parts, and those in the quality of those parts off the lot and are off the factory floor come a certain way. When people abuse them and change the thing, that corrupts them. It's garbage in, garbage out. And so, like, that was the idea of the scientific method. Science itself is not bad
Yeah.
because it's
Oh,
not.
yeah,
It doesn't.
yeah.
It's not
For
bad
sure.
or good. It is.
Yeah.
Truth is not a bad thing, and that's something that people should pursue. But to some people, it doesn't benefit them to pursue the truth because
They can't be bothered.
just because, well, if to seek the truth wouldn't benefit me because the lie benefits me. So I have
Yeah,
to have to make the truth somehow. I have to put more energy into manipulating the truth to make it my truth and advertise it as my truth. So, like, because you know how people talk about that, they say there's one person's opinion, there's another person's there. Wait, there's one person's truth and then another person's truth. No, there's just truth. Your version of that is manipulating the actual truth to benefit you. It's not the truth. You're using the wrong words.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that we need to focus more on is like the learning from history, learning from the idea of there are people that thought about the Enlightenment and we need to like I said, the building of the scientific method, the idea of creating a means to determine the truth, to find out what is and the nature of things. And even though that may be wrong just because we're limited in our scope of what our limited vision. Humans will always have that fault that we're limited in our vision. And we may understand that the world is flat until the world isn't flat. We'll understand that we are the center of the universe until we
we're
find
not.
out until we're not. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be the case. But the fact that we're always pursuing truth, we're always pursuing the knowledge is fantastic. The idea of the Enlightenment and then the response to the Enlightenment, which is Romanticism, which is like they're wrong, we're right. It's not about logic and truth. It's about art. It's about passion. It's about expression. It's about dealing with these things. Was not a knee jerk, but it was a reaction to the Age of Enlightenment. And they're not wrong either. That's the case with human beings. Is that that no one is always right. No one's 100% right, but no one's 100% wrong either. And that's the whole human spirit. That's the whole nature of nature. Is the fact that we can have enlightenment, we can believe in passion and art, we can enjoy certain things, and it can all come together. And that's the kind of cool thing about people that are involved in permaculture is that basically that's what they're doing. They're like, okay, this group of people came up with some really good ideas. And these group of people came up with some really good ideas. How can we incorporate all of our resources to create a better path?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's the cool conversation we're having.
Until the other system realizes that there's another alternative competing system out there, and then they spend
Is that
billions of
popular?
dollars in destroying it and making sure that it doesn't see the light a day. Or
So that's a
you
fight.
know,
That's always going to be the fight.
It's going to be for sure. But the important thing is just getting people to think a little bit outside the box and start doing things that make them more resilient, make them more self-sufficient, and maybe they can be regenerative. Maybe they can be better when you're done with them.
You can focus on you, and that's fine. You can take care of yourself. We're not saying you can't do that. It's not being selfish is not necessarily a bad word. But if the added little caveat on what you're doing to be a system that'll work for you and not harm anybody else.
Yeah.
And maybe benefit if it's something that works for you so that you can get yours and other people can use and get theirs without taking from you and you taking from them. Like that's the whole idea
A
of permaculture.
cooperatively designed system.
Cooperatively designed system.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that was one of the big things. Like when we had to switch what name we were operating under, we could no longer be the Knoxville Permaculture Guild, and we had to become something else. And I'm like, okay, well, the local group here in Knoxville Regenerative Cooperative, because that's what I figure. A lot of the concepts that we've been talking to people about are these ideas and these concepts that are cooperatively ran amongst a community of people. And I know that sounds about like a bunch of fucking mumbo jumbo or whatever, but it really makes sense in a lot of cases. Just say, for instance, okay, you have car insurance, right? You pay that every month, right? Okay. So I guarantee you, if I had 100 other people that also needed car insurance, that we collectively could get a much better deal getting car insurance cooperatively that way than you individually. Okay, I guarantee we could. Same thing goes for your cell phone bill. Same thing goes for your food. Well, I mean, you have a little bit different case, but most people go to the grocery store and they eat out a couple times.
But the idea is the same group rate sort of thing.
You get a much better deal when there's 150 people buying groceries. We're going to get a much better deal.
And bundling is becoming such a common thing now, where like if you want to get the things, you can. If everybody's going to get all the things, the lights and the it could come down to the cable and the phone and all that stuff all bundled into one thing. So that you can get all those things, you can get a good rate. The same applies for people getting those things.
So what if we were able to do it where, all this data that Facebook and all the big conglomerates are harvesting from us and selling and making all this money? What if you were able to localize that? And like all that data went to your local community and you were able to harvest that data collectively. There's one thing that a lot of people don't talk about too, is like collective credit. Think about, one person can get a mortgage for $200,000. Okay, what's 150 people? What can they apply for, and what could they cooperatively go? And then the answer is, well, they could probably get a really big loan, like because that's the only way you're going to be able to buy any farmland anywhere around here is if you can get a loan for like $2 or $3 million just for the land.
Yeah.
And then you need to get another loan to build whatever. What does that look like? And those are intentional communities, and there's intentional communities all over the United States. Some of them are really old, some of them are young, but like you think about it now, we live in a community already. We didn't pick any of our neighbors. We bought the house, and then what's your community? Well, who do you see when you open your door and when you go outside?
Well, that's the thing Nicole was saying in the chat.
Yeah.
Nicole was saying that in chat, that it's like you live in an area where you don't know your neighbors, and that was not usually the case.
No.
And
you usually knew everybody on your street. At the minimum, you knew everybody on your street. So that's something that we're going to try to change.
The focus becomes on you closing yourself off to the world and then looking across to the cherry picking your information that you get that's away from your community, because that's what people tend to do.
Yeah, because none of that information you're finding online is about your local community.
Get my piece of land, build my walls, and then I will put a telescope on the roof of my building so that I can look many miles away.
New York City.
Yeah,
LA.
yeah, exactly.
I get all my news from LA.
I'm gonna go to Knoxville and I'm gonna build a home with these really big walls, and no one's gonna be able to get on my land. And then I'm gonna get my telescope and I'm gonna look at New York.
Yeah,
and it doesn't make sense.
And get Uber Eats.
Look at how exactly. And I'm gonna have limited access to people, because that used to be the way that I used to think that. I'm like, what I would do is I would get a big like a commune sort of a thing, and just build a gigantic wall that no one could. You
don't even need to build a wall, man.
The wall and the moat.
You just build it in a valley. And, control it with a bridge.
But the idea was like to shut myself off from the world, except for people that I will allow to come in that world. And then now it's kind of the opposite, where I'm like, no, I just want a little bit. I want a small place that's safe for me, and then use the world. Yeah. And then, everything, everywhere is my
world is a resource, man. You know what I mean? All this stuff is here, and you should utilize the resources. And that's why, people say, oh, I don't want to live in a city. And it's like, well, I get you, but, the resources are all here. You
Yeah.
might as well utilize it. I mean, like we have a wonderful public library system where we can rent rooms and it doesn't cost us anything. Like going to the movie theater downtown, like you know how nice movie theater that is. And you know, if we had some augmented technology, some better stuff like better transportation, public transportation, you know, you think about how close the rail is to us where we live right here. You imagine if we just hit a button on our phone and a rail car came like within 5 minutes and picked us up and brought us right downtown. Think about how fast we could get there. We're only 25 minutes by car. Imagine if you could go by rail, how fast you would be there.
Yeah, cities aren't bad. It's just the
how they're
fact of
designed.
how they're designed and how people, just the way that people are.
You could completely design cities the size of Knoxville and have no cars and no need for cars. As long as you had like light rail and buses. Why would you need private cars? You know what I mean? You could definitely have taxis and stuff like that. But just, you know, constantly in science fiction, you know, you see this systems basically as soon as cars can fly, it's like a whole nother world opens up, because if cars can fly, well, then where else can cars go? Well, cars can go up then. And it's like, okay, well, then there's the Jetson cities, you know, the cities that are on giant trays, basically, you know, and it's like, well, why were all the cities up in the sky in Jetsons? Was it because the surface was like a post-apocalyptic? Or like, I heard it was Flintstones.
Yeah, the Jetsons and Flintstones existed at the same time. They were just on the land.
Yep.
I have a lot of respect for Asian countries that have better transportation than we do. For instance, Japan with a bullet train. Yeah, they don't necessarily have it all right either.
No. They just have aspects that are way better than what we have.
And that's the idea of permaculture. The idea of, you know, taking
works.
the designs that work and incorporating with other designs that work to create something better. You go to Knoxville, and Knoxville is a fantastic city. And I have never been much of a city guy, but it's not because cities are bad. It's just because it's confusing and it's hard to process. It's kind of overwhelming.
Especially if you don't live in a big city.
Yeah. And
Knoxville's just big enough where it's like a real city, and it has a real downtown, and it has lots of communities around that downtown. And then you have, you know, the more rural areas and a halfway decent highway system. Because something like Ocala, that was the one thing that we really did not have. We did not have a really good highway system. As big as Ocala ever got, it was never going to have a real highway system like we have here. You know, with multiple, you know, what do they call them? The belts that go around the city, the bypasses. And stuff.
Yeah. But you know, you look at something like Knoxville, and when we went down, and we're like, what are a couple of bad things you could say about Knoxville? Well, there's a lot of homeless people, but I mean, it's not the homeless people's fault. It's not necessarily the city's fault either. It's just like
it is what it is.
It is what it is. But I mean, it's like if you see that, and you think that the downtown area is garbage because there's a lot of homeless people, well. That's your opinion, and it's not anything that's really helping the situation. You're not coming up with a solution.
The housing market is insane here, and I think part of the problem was they started building these 5-story apartments. You've seen them all downtown by the river. They're basically just 5 stories, and they just copied and pasted them all over the place. Like, I get it, that's cool, but like the answer is not those. The answer is 60-story, 80-story high rises wherever you can put them downtown. I'm not talking about in the city. I'm talking downtown. Just build building after building, because that's what real municipalities do. Look at New York City. Look at Chicago. They got that way because they weren't building 5-story apartments. They're building giant, buildings. You know, that's what a major metropolitan area needs. And then the more you can store,
and also repurposing a lot of the current buildings that exist down there. There's something that
there's so much, man. There's so much. And, you know, I mean, I guess, you know, the answer would be financial loans to rehab a lot of those areas. Maybe like interest-free loans that people could take out, because some of those places are just, now they're worth a lot of money as housing, because our housing costs have gone sky high. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, like what our house is worth. Like, I don't want to say it's doubled in value, because then they'll tax us more, but it's like a lot. You know what I mean? Like, it's gone up almost double from when we bought it. And then people are like, well, you should sell it. And it's like, well, yeah, but then where do we go then? You know, like,
and that still doesn't solve the problem, because of all the bureaucracy and all the stuff that's like we're building on top of the corpses of other regulations and other things that have existed for generations that
have you ever heard of seasteading?
Don't work anymore. What's that?
Have you ever heard of seasteading? It's okay. So you've heard of homesteading,
Right.
where people get a piece of land.
Oh,
and-
seasteading. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they there's this theory that they're going to be able to at some point be able to connect enough boats and like buoys and shit and like oil platforms
and
and yeah, atolls, exactly. Yeah. And actually start like independent nations that exist out in the ocean. Because like as crazy as like Earth is like 200 different countries. Now, I mean, like there's no exact word on how many different countries, but that's the future, is more countries, not less. You know, like people talk about like a one world government and stuff. Well, we may need like that at some point if we want the Vulcans or whatever to talk to us, right? Isn't that a requirement? We have to have a one world government to enter into Star Trek and get warp technology. Yeah. Well, you've been watching the new Strange New Worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've watched
I know the
4
first episode had to
episodes.
do with that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a pretty good series, and it has a much better feel to it, like a much better attitude
A
towards
good
it.
pace too.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I've noticed.
It
So
makes my heart feel a little bit better to see that Star
it's
Trek.
more like classic Trek than the
Not
newer.
not dark, grim, and gritty, and all that stuff. We don't need any of that anymore. We don't need to, we don't need to.
Well, that's how Discovery was.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
okay.
when Discovery started up, it was like, let's do it dark and gritty and all serious, and the drama is really good, and you'd have these
to me, it was
people.
almost hard to watch. Discovery was like I had to put work into watching it, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to do that with Star Trek. Like Strange New Worlds, I put it on and I enjoy every minute of it. It's like, wow, you're taking me through an adventure. I'm challenging myself with different theories, and like like the plots of some of the shows are really, they make you think. Star Trek's always made you think.
Yeah.
But like with Discovery, it was just like, oh man, I feel dirty.
Well, it's the whole idea of the dystopian society versus the dystopian future versus utopian future, and it's like it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like there are
Could be everything.
we all have our problems, we all have our challenges that we face, and it doesn't have to be. Because Discovery was all about like characters arguing together and fighting together because they had opposing viewpoints, and it just became like a bunch of infighting of people that exist on this ship together. These the military, paramilitary, or whatever you want to call it. It was this organization. It was the Federation, and it was Starfleet, and it was officers, and you had the chain of command, but one person was always questioning other people, and they were they were just like it seemed like a workplace.
Yeah.
And it's like, who wants to watch that?
Yeah.
Who wants to watch infighting and cliques? And
I want to watch the Office equivalent of a Star Trek like company.
or
You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like telemarketing.
Well, that's Lower Decks. Yeah.
It was like telemarketing, a version of in one of those type of places where you have like, well, Judy's a bitch because she does this, or she said this thing to the other guy, and I'm on her side. I'm not. It's like I said, the factions and stuff like that. And I didn't want to watch a show where. Now, I'll grant you the two sides, the two characters, or whatever you call it, had their differing points of view. Like the captain had this idea of something, and there eventually was a story from it. So yeah, you can build a story off of an argument. I had this opinion, you had that opinion, and you and I are just bickering, and you could end up making a story out of it. The reason why you're bickering is because this thing happened to you, and we can get into that. And it's like, okay, so you have some backstory, and you have some information that feeds into the conflict. And it just became conflict for conflict's sake, is my point.
Yeah, that's terrible. I don't even like hearing about it. I'm like, maybe one day because I mean, I want to pride myself on one point being able to say, like, I've seen every Star Trek episode of every show.
Well, when you want Star Trek, you want this thing. Like if you go to a
It's not
steakhouse,
yeah,
you want steak, or you want the thing that's on that menu. If you go to a Chinese restaurant, you want certain things that are on that menu. You don't complain because one Chinese food place has the same menu than the other Chinese food place. You embrace that. You celebrate that. And if you go to a Chinese restaurant and they serve peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. That's not what you came to get. If you watch Star Trek, you want to see Star Trek. You don't want to see like any other show with Star Trek dressing on it. So
David holds his nerd card and says, "I have seen every episode of every show and every movie of Trek."
That's fantastic.
That's awesome, dude.
and he does appreciate Strange New Worlds, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But negative points because you'd pay for Star Trek: The Office edition. Like I said, go see. Absolutely, if you want to see that sort of thing, you could absolutely watch. What is it you just mentioned? The cartoon? I can't remember. What it's called.
Lower Decks.
Lower Decks.
Lower Decks is awesome. I enjoyed Lower Decks more than probably not since Orville have I enjoyed a sci-fi series as much as Lower Decks.
Don't care.
Because like you didn't like Orville?
No.
Oh.
Oh no, I liked Orville. I'm saying
okay.
Lower Decks.
Oh, Lower
Don't care
Decks.
for
Oh,
it.
okay.
Don't care for it.
It's all right.
I want to see I want to see a series that holds a higher ideal and that I want to see a show about people better than me or stronger than me.
Right.
Something,
Okay, I gotcha.
something to attain.
Yeah.
Like Strange New Worlds.
How many episodes did you watch though? Did you watch the whole season or
Lower Decks?
Yeah.
No, I watched like 2 or 3 of them. And
Okay,
it's kind of like Rick and Morty. I watched a couple.
Yeah.
And everyone says,
Yeah.
no, just wait. Watch keep watching and stick with it. I don't want to stick with it.
Every time I watch it, I'm like, does this get dirtier and dirtier as the seasons go by? Because like I got a potty mouth, but like they're filthy.
Yeah.
Like they're just
On
cursing
Lower
for
Decks?
No,
Oh,
Rick and Morty.
Okay,
Rick
gotcha.
and Morty. Yeah. And with that, we gotta skip.
That's what I was expecting with Lower Decks was going to be like kind of a Rick and Morty-ish.
Yeah.
And
it is.
Love Lower Decks.
It is. It's good.
Well,
I enjoy it.
Strange New Worlds, I definitely enjoy because it's like it seems like they're like
I'm tied between that and Kenobi, but I've only seen one episode of each. So I can't
Kenobi's
really-
cool
Yeah.
because it broadens out the character, and Ewan McGregor actually has like emotions, and actually you see him work on screen, which is
Yeah.
awesome. But with Lower Decks, you have Captain Pike,
There's-
and you have a great crew that actually care about each other, and they respect the rank, and they're like, okay, we need to focus ourselves on the mission.
Yeah.
We need to focus ourselves on the ideals of Starfleet and what they really stand for. It's old Trek.
Yeah.
And it's much better than just like we're just gonna bitch about everything and have, like I said, conflict for conflict's sake.
Yeah.
It's a conflict is a main theme that drives a lot of shows.
Yeah.
You need that if you're writing a show, but it's not like
I mean,
arguing.
We got little Princess Leia in Kenobi. You know how hard it is to top little Princess Leia?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
It's amazing. So
But yeah, and there's a lot more coming, and I like that's the whole argument for Star Wars has been it's always been about Skywalkers, and the what's been promised probably not the best word, but I mean because we want to hold them to it, but who knows if they're going to meet it.
yeah.
The promise is from Disney that Star Wars will not be just about Skywalkers. They're moving away from legacy,
Yeah.
appreciating for what it was, and moving on to other stories like they should.
Yeah. But
Like
they'll still have shows, but it just doesn't. We don't need it to be the main focus anymore. There's so many other characters.
there are more stories to tell that
Yeah.
are more interesting to tell, more
Yeah.
characters that you can create, more families that you.
But
can
here I
have.
am still enjoying Kenobi, which is about Skywalker.
Yeah.
So
Little last question of the night. David asks, "Little Princess Leia or Grogu? Who do you pick?" I would first of all, you don't have to pick, but if you're asking me which I enjoyed more, Grogu, of course.
yeah.
Little Leia is precocious and she's awesome, but she has her issues.
Yeah.
The Kenobi certainly does have its issues. The fact that little 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid can run around a city and not get caught at all, and no one gives a shit. Like the fact that she's among all these adults and not a single. I know, like it continues the story, but you have these bandits in the woods that are chasing after this little girl.
I'm not going to ruin who
and
it is.
They're stretching out a scene, and you could tell they're trying to stretch out a scene. Like they can't catch her, and there's a chase, a needless chase, and then you have the next one, which is stretching out an episode with needless chase again. It's there has its issues,
It's
but
great. It's
Grogu-
fantastic. Grogu wins.
Grogu wins.
All right, everybody.
But yeah, we will talk about Star Wars another time.
I'm gonna try to end the show again. Let's see if Matt takes the hint.
All right, no, absolutely, no, I did. I just wanted to finish my point, but
That's fine.
that's the cool thing
We'll
about this.
never come back.
Thank
to
you
that.
guys so much for watching us. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And we hope that you enjoy. For everybody that's watching the replay, thank you very much for joining us as well. A lot of good stuff to talk about. And
Highest watched episode ever. I'm predicting.
this one,
Yep.
it only gets more and more. I certainly hope so. But we thank you guys very
Thank
much.
you, David.
Dave, thanks for staying in chat. Jamie, if you're still out there, thank you as well.
Nicole, thank you,
Everybody,
Nicole.
yeah, everybody that's coming in, we appreciate
Jody
you
in the
guys a lot.
replay.
But would love to hear from you. Follow us if you haven't followed us yet, and please share the broadcast with your friends. Always nice to make new friends. But you can go to 323.1 or look that up on Google or whatever. But 323.1 takes you to our social page where you can connect on all of our social media, like the ones we have on the bottom of the screen. You can also go to on 323.1. You can also go to our shop and get some merchandise like the shirts that we're wearing, and also maybe put a tip in the tip jar. Put $1 in the tip jar if you like what you're seeing. We appreciate the support. But we're gonna go Saturday Facebook show. We hope to see you there 7 p.m. on Facebook as well.
We're gonna do the wrestling too, aren't we? We're gonna go to the wrestling and then do it. How are we gonna do it?
I don't know.
Let's delay the show. Let's do the show at like 9 o'clock so we can go to the wrestling. And
We'll
then
check
do
it
the
out.
show.
Yeah, we'll check it out. But we'll do the show.
Do a little bit later.
Yeah.
Saturday. You can stay up late.
Sure.
We'll take a nap afterwards.
Or we can do it Sunday. Either way. But follow us on Facebook so you will know.
Oh no, I can't go Saturday. Oh man, I'm gonna be at a party. I'm so sorry.
All right.
I'm a lot longer for figuring this out right now.
No problem.
How about we do the show on Sunday?
You're not gonna be able to do the show on Saturday either. Okay.
No, I'm not. We're going to a party on.
Well, we'll do something on Saturday. Come join us on
We'll do
Saturday.
it.
Something
We'll do
will happen because I'll still be in here, and we'll still do a show some sort.
If it's gonna be late, we'll do a show. There's no question.
But yeah, the idea
We'll
of
get video from the wrestling match. And we'll show it to y'all.
it sounds like a great idea, but I'm not sure exactly what we're going
Meet
to do.
all the wrestlers.
But thank you guys very much for watching, and we hope to see you every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Right here on YouTube. We love you. Have a great day. Love you. Bye.
Bye.